Okay, guys, it is 12:03, so hopefully we've had a chance to get everybody hopping on here and all technical difficulties out of the way. Um, so my name is Casey Harriet. I am the Archery coordinator for the state of Oklahoma for the Wildlife Department and for National Wild Turkey Federation. Essentially, I create programs and initiatives that help increase hunting participation here in Oklahoma, including educational content like this. And today I have with me Kelly Boyer. He is our education specialist that's going to be talking to us about archery hunting, specifically for deer, which season's coming up. So now is going to be a better time. And then we're going to go over some regulations with the game warden, the resident game warden, Jacob Harriet over there. And then at the end, we're going to do a Q&A. So if you guys have questions, as you think of them, just type them in the chat box just as we go. And then I will field them for our experts at the end here, and we'll have a good amount of time. And we won't cut anybody off. If we run over an hour and we still have questions, we won't cut anybody off. So before we get started, I'm going to have to share my screen here. And when I do that, I'm going to pull up his PowerPoint. And I like to hear an audible, yes, I can see this, if you guys can, in fact, see this. So give me one second to pull this up here.
You guys want to drop any questions or anything in the message box as well as we go along. Yeah. We'll try to loop back and answer any questions that you might have as we go through the content.
Okay. Yes. I just want to be able to see the chat. So that's why sometimes we'll field them at the end too. Yeah. So whatever works in this situation, we'll do. Okay. Can you guys see this?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. I am going to start from the beginning. I'm going to let Kelly take it away. Ooh. There's your beak. There's your beak. Yeah.
Well, hello, everyone. Glad you guys are here. Today, we're going to run through just a little bit of the basics about getting started in archery hunting. I am, as Casey said, an education specialist with the ODWC. My area of expertise is all things archery education for the division. So I manage all the archery in the schools programs, all the explore bow hunting and explore bow fishing programs that we have in our schools. And we're going to walk through this and be pretty basic. And I hope you guys have some questions, and I'd be happy to hear them at the end. So the first thing we're going to talk about here is where do we hunt? Access is top of mind when it comes to hunting nowadays. Is where do I have an opportunity to hunt? And Oklahoma has a unique opportunity that we have quite a bit of lands, public lands that you can access to hunt, especially for archery. Archery opportunity starts October 1st and goes to January 15th. So there's lots of time throughout the fall and winter to take advantage of hunting. And some of the places where you can go are OLAP properties. Corps of Engineers lands have lots of lands that are open to archery hunting. Our ODWC managed lands, lots of those have great opportunities and full year-long opportunities to go out and hunt. And then, of course, if you have access on private lands, October 1st to January 15th is a long period of time that you can take advantage to hunt. The types of bows that it's legal to hunt with in Oklahoma, we have our traditional type, which are the recurve and long bows. Basically, the old stick and string. Very easy, not very technologically advanced method of hunting. I shoot a recurve bow and I thoroughly enjoy it. I probably have the most fun shooting my recurve than I do than any other method of hunting, but that's just me. Compound bow, it's probably our most common method of archery hunting in Oklahoma. There's a bunch of different types of bows on the market. There's a bunch of different products on the market, but a compound bow gives a wide versatility of having a bow that specifically fits you for your needs. And then we have crossbows, and it's legal to hunt with crossbows in Oklahoma without any restriction. Crossbows make it very easy to partake in archery sports, not only if you have a disability, but if you're just starting out or If you just choose to hunt with a crossbow, I say go for it. More opportunity is better. Our types of broadheads, there's a big debate on broadheads out there, and I hear it all the time. There's expandables and cut on contacts. There's two sides of every fence, and I hear arguments for both sides. My suggestion on broadheads, which are the point that you'll use on any of your arrows when hunting, is to choose whatever you're comfortable with. Whatever you're comfortable and confident in, go with that. There's no right, there is no wrong. It's whatever you choose and you're comfortable to hunt with.
Also like a Ford versus Chevy debate.
It really is. You know, you can put 10 people in a room and 5 of them are going to pick one side, 5 are going to pick the other. You just choose whatever you're comfortable with, and that's going to help you be successful. Hunting blinds and stands, there's all sorts of types of blinds and stands that you can hunt from. Manufacturer, created, really the sky's the limit, but when it comes to hunting blinds and stands, the number one rule here is safety. Our number one hunting accident is falling out of tree stands, and being safe when we go afield is definitely a very important part of bow hunting. But there's tower blinds, there's tripods, there's pop-up ground blinds. There's hang-on stands, ladder stands, and kind of newer on the scene are these saddle stands. A lot of people are using them for methods of hunting. All great options to look at. All again, is kind of you choose what you want to do and what you want to experience, and then just have confidence and go in it and make sure you're being safe. With any of these stands, when we're getting in and out, we want to make sure that if it's a ladder stand or a hang-on stand or a stand that's elevated, we want to use a climbing harness when we get in and out. And we also want to use a haul rope to pull all of our archery equipment up and back down out of the stand. The name of the game is definitely safety when it comes to hunting at a tree stands. Camouflage. So when we go out to the field, bow hunting requires you to be fairly close to your game, and it's crucial to beat their senses. Yeah, okay, that's fine. No, it's fine. Camo is a great way you can beat their sense of sight and detection. It's crucial to blend into your environment, whether it's your clothing or your tree stand or your blind. Brushing that in can help you be successful in the field. Didn't do it right. There we go. Actually, I'm going to go back here and I'm going to talk about bows and product a little bit. If you're just getting started and you don't have any equipment, the best thing I can tell you to do, and there's retailers and there's pro shops. Go visit a pro shop. Pro shop is a place that specializes in selling hunting equipment. Most of them are specialized in archery equipment. They're going to have a wide variety of different products for you to look at, for you to talk about, for you to choose and try. Most pro shops are very open and very warm to new archers coming to their sport. I highly recommend that if you're going to get into bow hunting, if you haven't already done it, make a relationship with your nearest pro shop, because they're going to be who you go to for your equipment needs. It's also a very big hub for a social group. Hunting is a phenomenal social activity, and multiple years back, I ran a hunting store, and some of my lifelong friends came from connections that I made in that environment. It definitely is a cultural group, and I highly recommend visit with your pro shop people. They will open arms, help you get equipment that you're comfortable with, and get you to where you can use them very successfully. You can be confident with them. So another important part of hunting, especially bow hunting, is scouting and your stand location. Understanding the animal that you're going after and how that animal interacts with its environment can lead to your success in the field. This is a diagram that's from our Explore Bow Hunting curriculum, and it basically shows the tract of a white-tailed deer. And how would we look at this or understand our hunting place to where we could be successful for hunting? Well, if this is the landscape that we're hunting from, we can see that there's a bedding area. That's where the animals are going to spend most of their time when they're sleeping. They're going to get out of their bedding and they're going to travel towards water and food. They need water, food, and shelter and a habitat to live. So they're going to access food, they're going to filter off, and then they're going to return back to bedding. So knowing that a deer or any of our quarry are going to follow that trend, we can use that to our advantage on where to set up to intercept them to be successful to harvest our game. So early on when I started, I focused on areas that were in between bedding and food sources, both morning and evening. That allowed me to get into my stand while the animals were working their way towards my position. So in the morning, I typically had one position. In the evening, I typically had another. One thing very crucial to worry about and think about in consideration in setting these locations up is wind direction. Archery season is a very long season, but in Oklahoma, our predominant wind direction is out of the south and southwest. So what I would suggest doing, if you can on your property, is set up different locations depending on the wind direction. A white-tailed deer sense of smell is impeccable, and it can often lead to the difference between you seeing game and not seeing game is playing the wind direction correctly. You want the wind blowing towards you in each one of these situations, and having multiple stand locations playing the wind in your advantage can help you make a decision on where you're going to hunt. Do I have a north wind? I have a north wind stand. That's where I'm going to hunt. And you'll likely have better success. The biggest thing about archery, guys, is practice, 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 practice. Practicing will get you comfortable with your equipment. It will get you confident in your skills. Practice in archery is a lot about knowing. You need to know your yardages, and you need to practice at those different yardages shots. You got to know your equipment and its limitations, because every piece of equipment will have a limitation, whether it be a recurve or a crossbow. And knowing your own limitations is a big part of it as well. So knowing what you can and can't do and remaining safe. And the all-in goal here is practicing to be an ethical hunter. Ethics is a large part of hunting and a large part of bow hunting as well. We owe it to our game and our quarry to be as ethical hunters as we possibly can. When we're practicing, we're honing our skills, honing our knowledge, because practice is about knowing, to be able to be successful and to be ethical hunters. And a big part of that practicing is understanding where you need to aim your shot when you're going to shoot an animal. So the next place we're going to talk about is shot placement. Why is shot placement important? The main three: ethics, success, and being able to recover the animal that you harvested. When we talk about shot placement, one of the main things we need to talk about is the anatomy of the deer and the location of the shot that we want to put our arrow and our broadhead in. So understanding that we have vitals, which are the heart and lungs, least vitals, which is the liver, and less vitals, which are the stomach and intestinal areas. We also need to understand the skeletal structure of the animal that we're hunting and how it can change because of the direction that the animal is facing. There's also an optimal way to choose to take a shot. So shot selection. So there's three in archery hunting. There's three directional shots that I would suggest even considering. Number one is definitely the broadside shot. Broadside shot is easiest to judge where to shoot. You've got a large area, you've got centralized references, and it's really your most optimal for succeeding in an archery shot. We have a quartering away shot, which also can be a very effective shot when archery hunting. Archery hunting, it differs from gun hunting in that with gun hunting, we're relying on blunt force trauma to cause damage to vital organs to make the animal survive or to expire. With archery, we're using technology that cuts, and cut wounds can be good, and they can be a little bit more difficult in being successful on marginal shots. So our three main shot selections we want to look at are broadside, quartering away, and the least definitely here would be quartering towards, and it would have to be a specialized situation before I would ever even okay taking this shot. So we'll break all these shots down into the good, the not so good, and the absolutely don't do. So here's our broadside shot. You can see this doe standing in the field. She's got a clear backdrop behind her. We've got a safe, good shot. We have a reference on where we want to shoot. We want to go directly up this front leg and then slightly back right into this area. Now, this is where I would put my pin on this animal, depending if I expected her to drop or not, but if in my yardage. This would definitely hit top of the heart, top arteries of the heart, definitely the lungs. This animal would likely expire very, very quickly. Broadside shot is definitely the most optimal shot choice to take, especially when bow hunting, because our margin of error is very, very high here. There's lots of good stuff in all of this area that we can hit if something were to go awry. Here's just a rendition of it. Again, we want to go up that front arm and then just slightly back. You can see if this is our point of impact, we'll slide right between ribs. So again, it's important to know the skeletal structure so we know where the scapula, the shoulder blade is, and the ribs are. But we're going to go right through those ribs and right into the lungs of this animal. And this animal will expire extremely quickly. So optimally, the broadside shot is what we want. Now, sometimes we get in kind of a hurry, and if we don't have an optimal shot, we can try to push the envelope. We can try to push a shot that maybe we should have waited just a little bit longer. Oftentimes, if the animal's calm, you can collect yourself and wait, and they will give you a broadside opportunity. Now, sometimes that can come back to haunt you a little, and you may not get an opportunity to shoot that animal at all, but at least you know you were ethical in your choice of what shot placement and what stage you wanted that animal to be at when you shot. The next is the quartering away shot. And the quartering away shot can be a very effective archery shot, especially when they're looking away from you. In their detection of your closeness, you can take advantage of this. So if we imagine where our vitals are, right here is going to be all of our heart and lungs. I want to be mindful of where my arrow is going to likely exit when I pick a choice to aim. So if I'm on the ground, I'm going to aim just up this leg and to the right just a little bit. So as the steepness of this animal's quarter, as it turns away from me, I need to take my point of reference and move it back farther. Now, we don't want to move it too far back. We still want to envision where the back of those lungs are. We want to stay at the back of that lung, thinking of where that exit's going to be. Where is that broadhead going to travel through and cause damage? And remember, our ultimate goal is heart and lungs. Okay. So as the steepness of the quarter, lost my marker.
Oh,
There it is. Came back. As that steepness of that quarter changes, we need to move our aiming point back. Another thing to consider too is if we're hunting from an elevated position. If we're hunting from an elevated position, our impact point needs to go higher because our exit point will be lower. Does that make sense? So if we're up in a tree, my entrance needs to be here so that my exit will be here, and it will pass through as many vital organs as possible, causing this animal again to expire very quickly and ethically. And here's just another rendition of what I was talking about on a quartering away. This isn't as steep as the image before, but you can see our aiming point in reference to broadside has moved backwards. We're still going to catch both of these lungs. And if we look at where this is going to exit, this is going to exit, if it keeps its straight trajectory, directly on the other side in the armpit of that deer. And we'll get a clean pass through of both lungs. The animal will expire very quickly. And this is where it starts to get kind of gray, is the quartering towards. And I love this picture because the quartering towards, it usually happens in an instant like this. If we look at this doe, she seems to be on high alert. She seems to know that something's up. So if we were to elect to take our shot here, she's likely going to see the maneuver of the bow, the maneuver of you, and move before your arrow could ever get to her, resulting in a bad shot and potentially just harming the animal and losing it. So ethically, a quartering toward shot is definitely not a shot we really want to take when archery hunting. If you just give it a little bit of time, she could calm down, slightly turn broadside, maybe her attention goes elsewhere, and you would get a clean, ethical shot. For me, I would not take this shot, especially bow hunting, because odds are I'm pretty close to her. Archery hunting, we're going to be close to our game, remember? And the likelihood of her giving us a good angle of shot is actually pretty good in this situation. So my suggestion in this would be just wait a little bit. Let's see if she calms down and gives us a more optimal shot. And then here's the rendering on a buck. What we see on that quartering too, to get to these vitals, we're either going to have a very small window of success in here, or we're going to have to miss a lot of skeletal structure to be able to get only one lung possibly, and then our arrow would get into the intestines and the stomach, and that's area that we don't want to get into. Less lethal to the deer, causes them more injury, more pain, longer time to expire. All right, here's the no-nos. We don't go here. This just leads to very bad, high chances of bad potential. The facing you shot, you're going to shoot an animal facing you that has a very narrow kill zone here, that has a very shallow chance of having a successful shot. You likely are not going to get a pass through, so you're not going to get good sign after your shot to track this animal if you are to hit a vital organ, but you're competing with skeletal structure, a much reduced area of success. And honestly, again, if we just waited at this point, the high likelihood that we would get a higher marginal or a higher successful shot on this is again likely. Making that choice to take a good shot is part of being an ethical hunter. And here we can see that the vitals are really, really small. The chance the target's really small. It's just not worth all the bad things that can happen by taking this marginal shot. Facing away, it's just not a good shot to take. You're not going to have access to any of the vitals. Your first thing you're going to impact are organs and structures on the deer that's just going to cause it harm and a long non-ethical death. Here's just the rendition of that. So, okay, we've shot the deer. Let's read the situation. We waited for a good shot. How the deer reacts can tell you a lot about where your shot actually hit. A lot of times in archery hunting, things happen very quickly, and you don't always have time to make a visual note of the recount of what happened. So real quickly in your mind, you need to make a visual mark of the location where the animal was. That will be the first spot that you go when you go to recover the animal to tell you about your shot. when you following blood sign after you shot, you want to know where you shot the animal. And that'll be where you go first. You want to read the blood, another sign that you see. In archery hunting, a lot of times on an impact spot, since we're using broadheads that cut, we're going to find hair. Hair's always a good indication of your impact spot when bow hunting. Oftentimes, because we're using razor sharp broadheads, they don't bleed right away. The wound is still fresh, and if you've ever cut yourself and it doesn't just automatically bleed. Sometimes you can cut yourself and it doesn't bleed right away. It takes a second to bleed. The same thing can happen with deer. So knowing where that impact spot is and where that animal went is a very crucial key on being able to follow the direction of that animal from your point of impact. And if you have any doubts, the best thing to do is always wait to track. Disturbing a wounded animal on a marginal shot greatly reduces the likelihood of successfully recovering that animal. This is just a flow chart. I won't go through it because it's a lot about should you wait on your shot or should you go? Starts with, did you hit the deer? Yes. Did the deer run out of sight? Yes or no? Is it still standing? No. Was it a spine shot? You know, there's all these different situations that happen that can lead to one of these suggestions of what to do, whether you go now or whether you wait, or maybe it wasn't a vital hit. So the types of sign that you'll see on your arrow if you get a pass through can tell you a lot about your archery shot. So arterial blood will be red, and there will be a lot of it. And arterial blood comes from the heart and the arteries. It will be bright red blood, and there will be a bunch of it. Lung blood, if you were to contact the lungs, will be lighter color, almost watery, with lots of bubbles in it. Often there is a lot of blood associated with the lungs as well, because there's lots of arteries and that go through the lungs. And the lungs are your largest vital organ to hit. If you hit a liver or just a muscle group and you're getting real dark blood or blood that's less plentiful, that could tell you that you have possibly a liver shot and that you would want to wait a little bit longer before recovery. A liver shot is a vital shot to a deer. It just will take a longer amount of time to recover it. And then an intestine or stomach shot, you'll have little to no blood, and often your arrow will have material or on it that will smell foul. So go ahead and smell your arrow to give you a little bit of an indication if you're unsure about where it hit. This is just a picture of different types. This is kind of our oxygen-rich arterial heart blood, real bright, real plentiful. Muscle or liver, that'd be darker, not as plentiful. Lighter, watery with bubbles in it, so lung shot. And then a gut or digestive tract shot. It's going to have little to no blood and possibly digestive material on it and smell very bad. Here's another very good kind of chart to show about, and a good suggestion on how long to wait in reference to where you hit the deer. If it's a good heart lung shot and it's nice and cool outside, 30 minutes, get down and start your track and see if you can recover your game. Any of the marginal shots just kind of push that time frame back. I will say that one thing we have in Oklahoma that we often deal with is temperature, especially early on in bow season. A lot of times our temperatures are rather high. We may want to try to go a little earlier so that we don't risk spoilage. But at the same time, if you start to feel uncomfortable about your track and what sign you're seeing, again, greatly reduces your chance of recovering the animal if you don't, if you push them and they haven't expired yet. Things I like to take with me post shot while I'm hunting are flagging tape, a compass or a GPS, aerial map, dragging rope, flashlight for tracking at night. Sometimes a spray bottle with hydrogen peroxide can tell you if something you're looking at is actually blood or if it's something in nature that looks like blood. And I always have my cell phone with me, not only for its maps in reference to know where I'm at, where the animal's been, but if I ever get into a situation I need help or something, I can always call for help. But go slow, be observant, try not to walk on the blood, track from a side position, so not directly on the trail of the blood. You want to mark your blood very frequently so that you can see a pattern. Often, if you see a pattern in which that the animal is traveling, you can make a good inference on which direction you need to look next, especially if sign starts to run a little thin. If you start to lose sign, don't wander around. Just mark the last sign, back out. Again, we're looking for that pattern to kind of give us an idea. If we see a pattern of a direction that an animal is traveling, we can then pull up that aerial photo, and the animal might be trying to go to water or back to a bedding location or somewhere where that animal feels safe. If you know from our scouting before that that animal is trying to go back to its bedding location, you can back out, go back in, and be successful if it's not. But please don't be afraid to back out, come back with help. And there's all sorts of type of help. There are people in your community that will help you find your deer, and there are organizations that will also help. There's the Oklahoma Blood Trackers. They track with dogs, and it's legal to track with dogs in Oklahoma. I'll just say, know the rules if you're going to track with a dog. Contact somebody in the association. They have a whole list of certified trackers in Oklahoma that can help you find your animal. And kind of new and on the scene now is tracking with UAVs and thermal imaging. This can cost quite a bit more, but it is definitely a way to use technology in your advantage. Both methods on using these tracking systems, I would say, is definitely know your rules and regulations, and good luck out there. This leads me right into the next segment that, I'll take questions after Jacob's done, but knowing the rules is it's a very important part, and I think that's kind of where we're at. And just talk about regulations.
Awesome. Thank you, Kelly. I'm going to pass it off now to Jacob Harriet, Lincoln County Game Warden, to go over the laws real fast, and then we will open it up to questions. So make sure you type them as you think of them right here, or we can open it up just talking at the end, either or.
Hey guys, like she said, my name is Jacob Harriet. I'm the Lincoln County Game Warden. I just wanted to kind of give you an overview of some of the basic laws and regulations about archery hunting, and then I want to tell you just some things that have already happened this year that were illegal that I don't want you to do. So to go hunting, you have to have your license, correct? So we have an app called Go Outdoor Oklahoma, or you can go through our website. So to archery hunt, you need your general hunting license, which is $32, and then you need an archery license for each deer. With archery, it is either sex, so you can buy one license, and with that archery license, you can shoot doe or buck. Already this year, I've had a guy called me. He's excited about hunting season. He just bought his rifle license and is ready to go Sunday. Well, it is not rifle season Sunday. It is archery season. And that archery license is only good for archery deer. So make sure you know that. It's not rifle season. It's bow only right now. So now you have your license. You're supposed to carry that on your person when you hunt. Having that on your app counts as carrying it with you. So the electronic version counts. A screenshot of it works. Basically, if you're in the field and you get checked, you just need to be able to show that you have your license. Got that license wise, you're good to go. So now when can you hunt? Season will start October 1st. It'll go to January 15th. You can be in the woods before 30 minutes before, 30 minutes after sunset, but you can only shoot or harvest an animal 30 minutes before sunrise to 30 minutes after sunset. You can't use a flashlight to do it. I've seen people mount flashlights to their bows. That's illegal. That's spotlighting. Even if it's in that shooting hours, if it gets low light, you can't turn your flashlight on and use that to help you. It's legal shooting hours only, no lights. After that, you harvest an animal, you get a shot. Kelly did a great job talking about tracking an animal. The first thing you're supposed to do once you find your animal is put a carcass tag on it. A carcass tag can be anything as long as it has your name, license number, and time and date of harvest. So put that on it right away. Take your pictures, get it gutted or whatever you're doing to process it. After you shoot that animal and you leave your hunt area, you have 24 hours to check that in on our online system. That Go Outdoor app, it has e-check on there. It's super easy, or you can go online and fill that out as well. What you can use for legal archery equipment. So compound bows have to be at least 30 pounds. Recurves and longbows have to be at least 40 pounds. Your crossbows have to be 100 pounds. Most of the time with crossbows, I haven't seen I've never checked anybody with a crossbow that didn't meet specifications. Your broadhead length, the width of your broadhead has to be at least 7/8 of an inch. I've never checked anybody that had it short, but we want to make sure we're not using like field points or something like that that's just going to injure the animal and not give you a good blood trail. Um, Other than that, it's pretty straightforward. Make sure you have your licenses, put your carcass tag on it and get them checked in. On top of that, I just wanted to let you guys know if you have questions or you're new and you're just not sure about something, make sure to get our numbers. So you can just Google Oklahoma Game Wardens and it'll pull up a list by county, or we have our regulations books that are at Walmart's and Bass Pro. The second page of this has all of our numbers on it. I would much rather you call me ahead of time than go out there in the field and mess it up. So that's just a brief overview. If you guys have questions, let me know. I just want to talk on some common mistakes that I normally see. So you have to have your licenses before you get in the field. So you can't go shoot a deer and then buy your licenses. That's illegal. You have to have them. So before you get out of your truck to go hunt, make sure that you have those licenses in your account. That will show on there, so you can refresh it and it'll say that, I, Jacob, have a hunting license and I have my deer archery tag, and that's for each deer. If I want to shoot 2 deer, then I need to have 2 archery deer licenses. On top of that, when we check them in, make sure you guys get your confirmation number. So this system is set up where you shouldn't need internet to check your deer in, but if you do not get a confirmation number, something is wrong. So you get a confirmation on your phone, screenshot it, write it down. That number needs to stay with that animal until it gets to its place of final destination, which is where your house, basically where you're going to consume it at. After you clean it with that carcass, you can bag it up and put it in your trash can. That's perfectly acceptable. Don't go out and dump the carcasses out off the county road or something like that. That's illegal. For whatever reason, everybody likes to dump them over bridges, and that is highly illegal, and you can lose your hunting license because of that. When you guys are out there in the woods, just know that even if it's your first time or it's your hundredth time, that you are what people view a hunter as. So put a good taste in their mouth. There's a lot of people that are anti-hunting now, and one bad experience will just give them more ammunition. So go out there, take care of your place. If you have private land, take care of your landowners. If you're on public land, just take care of that, pick up trash and stuff, and just treat it right and get out there and have some fun.
What happens if you shoot your deer and then it hops the fence onto someone else's property?
So in Oklahoma, you have to have landowner permission before you can cross any fence. It doesn't matter if you just shot it and it hopped the fence and you can see it laying on their property. You have to get permission from that landowner before you can get over there, or you're trespassing or hunting without consent. So make sure that you're not trespassing. I recommend everybody get to know your neighboring landowners. Most of the time, they're all for it. If you shoot a deer, just let them know. They usually will let you go get it. If you have a conflict, you can call us. I can't go get your deer for you because that's all I'd be doing all year. But sometimes if I know the landowner or something like that, I can maybe help you get access to it. Or if you don't know who the landowner is, I might be able to help you get access to go retrieve your animal. I don't want to see any of them go to waste.
Did you speak on taking, when you travel with your deer to like a processor or something, what type of identification needs to be on it?
Yeah, so make sure you get your confirmation number on it, and then you're supposed to have a naturally attached evidence of sex. So if it's a boy, leave those sex organs on there. If it's a girl, leave those sex organs on there. And that's basically just to show that, okay, this is a female deer, this is a male deer. In Oklahoma, it's not male and female, it's antlered and antlerless. So you need to be able to show that it is an antler deer and it's an antlerless deer. So don't cut the head off and go driving around, and just make sure that's all documented.
Just trying to think of anything else that I can ask you that someone might think about.
Wear some bug spray. The ticks are pretty bad this time of year. So
Yeah.
if you get into the woods and you get some ticks, make sure you check real good the night when you get home and make sure there's no ticks on you.
One thing I thought about when you brought up different types of like tree stands and hang-on stands, like walk-in stands, a really good option that Jacob's actually pretty knowledgeable about is those tree saddles that we mentioned. That's probably like the top easiest thing to carry into the woods if you on a public land if you want to get up into a tree. It's not heavy. If you want to do a lot of walking in it, you can. There's just a lot of cool benefits from that specific type of hunting style for public land or land that you don't technically want to drag a tree stand out there and set up.
Hey, Jacob, if I'm gonna hunt public land and I'm gonna put a stand out on public land, isn't there something I need to do?
Yeah, so that's a good point, Kelly. I don't have any public land, so I never think of that stuff. But if you're hunting public land, anything you put onto that public land, you need to have your customer ID number on there. And that basically just says that that's your property. We have lots of issues of people dumping, blinds and not coming back and getting them and it trashing up the place. So make sure you have that number on there. And if somebody steals it, down the stretch, we come across it and it has your number on it, we might be able to get that back to you. So make sure that confirmation or the customer ID number is on all your equipment. That's trail cameras, tree stands. You're not supposed to use the screw-in steps on public land. So be cautious of that. Most people will use the little ladders that you just ratchet strap on.
Can we talk about trail cameras? I guess it's not really archery related, but it's just
Part of scouting
yeah,
is
part of,
using trail cameras. I love using trail cameras.
yeah. Trail cams now are like the best thing ever.
Yep. Do we have any questions
You guys-
for Jacob or myself or anybody?
Yeah, you guys can just unmute yourselves if you want to, or type in the chat box.
We're here for you.
Yeah, we got 15 minutes left or more if you guys want to just start rattling them off.
The young man in the blue shirt looks like he's got some questions.
Yeah, his hands are both up. Yeah, the Schwacker.
Schwacker comment, it's a good broadhead. If you're confident in it, use it.
Yeah, we're pretty confident in that one.
Yeah, good.
I've
There's
had
a
lots
few
of deer.
Go ahead.
So we've killed quite a few with them so far this year. Last year.
Not this year.
I caught you.
We're gonna need to have a talk.
The young man in the middle looks like he's ready to go right
I
now.
was gonna say he's a poach.
I can't even see him. What are you talking about?
That's funny.
Anything, guys?
Well, I have to say that I think it's super cool that you guys do this. They're homeschooled, and when I found that all of the different Zoom classes that are or sessions that y'all guys are doing, I thought, oh my gosh, that is too neat. And we live in Texas, and they hunt in Oklahoma, or they hunt in both places, but Oklahoma's their pride and joy and where life begins.
That's
So
very
you-
cool. I was about to ask if you guys were out of school today or if you guys are
They're
homeschooled.
they're homeschooled. And so I thought when I saw that, I was like, register. So I registered all three of mine for them, and then our computers were messing up. But they live, eat, and breathe outside. So I was
That's
thinking,
awesome.
that is too neat that y'all offer that. And they don't sit still for much. So
Yeah, that's pretty good. And you're getting credit hours or whatever. Like this is part of your classes for the day. How fun is that? Yeah.
Anyway, thanks for doing it. We think it's awesome.
Absolutely. You guys should definitely join back on next Tuesday for our deer processing question and answer. It's just an addition to a live processing video that Jacob and I did, and we quartered and skinned a deer. And then we'll be doing more like talk about our process of how we go about once we quarter it, bring it into the house and break it down ourselves, and what type of cuts of meat we like to have in our freezer. And then we can open it to questions at the end too. So make sure you tune into that one. Okay, we do have a question here. Would screw-in bow hangers or pack hangers also be illegal on public lands?
Jacob, that's you.
Yeah. I was trying to find the actual statute for you, but yeah, you can't do anything that screws into the tree. A lot of people have like the little ratchet straps that have hanging hooks and stuff on them. Put it all the way around the tree. You can hang all your stuff off that.
Good question. That's what we're looking for, guys. Anything you got a question, we'll be happy to answer it.
Yeah, I have two questions.
Yeah.
The first one is understanding the rules for OLAP. As far as, or is there a site where I can read the rules for the OLAP?
So, I mean, Jacob, you can take this too, but OLAP does have like its own page. But if you're talking archery, most OLAP
Most all the OLAP
Is
does
archery.
allow archery. If you'll go to the specific area on that OLAP map that you're wanting to hunt and hover over it, I'll have Casey try to get there real quick.
yeah.
If you'll just hover over it, each one of those locations will tell you the activities that you can and can't do there. And if archery is open, then yeah, you can hunt there as long as it's not
First off, yeah, I'm going to share my
So-
screen real fast.
We do have OLAP limited access now.
Yeah,
So
that's
depending on what property it is, you might actually have to draw into that property just to keep some of these smaller properties more close to the local areas from getting overhunted. So you make sure if it's a, restricted access that you get drawn in for it. We have one of those that's semi close to me and we have some issues. It's actually illegal. If you don't draw into it to go out there and hunt, you get a trespassing charge because of that. So
And
be
it's like
be
a daily
cautious of
draw.
that. Yes, it's a daily draw.
And you register for that the same way that you can register for these classes on our Go Outdoors calendar.
Yeah, and if you go to our website, it explains all that very well, probably better than what I could just tell you here. I've never actually done the OLAP draw access stuff before. But while you're pulling that up, Casey, I found that statute
Okay, go
for
ahead.
the deer screw and stuff. So it says no permanent type stands may be constructed in or on a tree, nor shall cleats be driven into a tree to gain access to a portion of any tree, nor shall any person hunt from such a stand. Only the portable type stands that do not require the use of fastening devices that has the potential of damaging the tree are permitted. Stands shall be removed from the tree immediately following the closure of hunting season. So any sort of cleat that you drive into the tree is a no-go.
Okay.
And then you have 14 days to get your stands off of it after season closes. So after January 15th, you got 14 business days to remove all your equipment or it's forfeited.
and that screen.
Yeah, we're sharing right
Oh,
now.
we're
They're
sharing
able to,
right now.
yeah, they're able to see all that.
Go ahead.
Might as well. So while Jacob was talking, I got on our website here and I went to wildlifedepartment.com and then you go to the hunting tab and then you go to where to hunt. And then I'll have our WMAs, our a couple different areas, and then you click on Oklahoma Land Access Program. And then from there, it has information on everything and then the interactive map that we are on now. And I'm looking, and you see these broadheads here? That broadheads mean archery and shotgun only. So most of these are, yeah, this would be a good one to click on. So if you were to click on that, you can see what it is, archery and shotgun, and then what season dates are available. So September 1st, so all of archery season. It shows the acreage, it shows what species may be present there, does not mean that it is. And then deciduous, like what type of cover, deciduous forest, grasslands, no-till farming, and it's open to the public. So that's a great one. If there's specific questions, like what would a specific question for you be? Or is that kind of break it down what you needed to know?
Yeah, it's helpful to know that it's a daily draw, a location to put in for the draw, that there's going to be a limited number of hunters in the unit, and that also there was something I read in there about blocking the road with your vehicle.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you'll see, each one of these places has a designated place to park. And they will be away from an entrance. They'll be designated with a P on them. That's where they'd like you to park on their properties. And then you can walk in, access any of their properties. This one actually is a photographing location.
When, was that not a daily?
I don't think it was.
So I was seeing, cause they've changed, I actually used to be the technician for the OLAP program, but I was looking at the phone and I clicked on that and I saw limited access.
Right,
Which should tell you that's the daily draws
right.
one.
So go ahead and click on it and it,
So there, just to be clear, there are open to the public ones and there are daily draw access ones. The ones that are daily draw access are the ones closer to the city to reduce the amount of traffic. So such as this one right here, I'm clicking on Logan 2, LA 002. A daily permit required, 2 hunters allowed, 1 guest each at a time. I wonder, so, and then it's limited access. So that tells you it is that, the icon is that phone right there. I'll zoom back out so you can kind of see. See, it's a hand with a cell phone in it. That's
Mhm.
access. So that's the daily draw access icon. And so you can see that there's a few north of the city, kind of in Guthrie. There's one, oh, I guess this is the one Jacob was talking about. That was close to us.
you know, there's some new ones that now too.
Yeah. And this is really good to getting properties closer to the cities that landowners are worried about them being, packed. And so,
So another thing I'll say about OLAP is make sure you check the map.
yes.
OLAP properties are properties that we partner with for landowners to give access to hunting and fishing. And it's in a program, so sometimes those properties go out of the program and they're no longer property that is accessible by public. So before you go, if it's a place you went last year, please check back to the map and make sure that it's in our program and that it does have that access and that you follow the guidelines that it sets on each one of those properties, parking where they ask you to park and following those restrictions that the landowners have asked as part of our agreement.
Right. Once again, that goes back to ethics, and we take care of these properties. They stay enrolled for public hunting, and we're able to keep them available to us, the public. So even if it's not your trash, please pick it up. It takes a consolidated, combined effort to keep these properties good and clean and make good impressions as public hunters. There's so our stone broadhead's legal if they meet the size requirements.
Yep, as long as you're at that 7/8 inch, you're in good shape and you're a better hunter than me.
Stone, glass, any of it. I've seen it all. And I, like Jacob, I admire you. It's kind of a cool thing.
Very Neanderthal of you.
I love it. I love that primitive feel. Got another one here that says, so they want to make sure they're doing right. Their son will be 13. What does he need to hunt? And what do I do to make sure that he's covered as well, since he'll be out with them, since she'll be out with him? And Andrea, on that question, can you type in there, are you going to also be hunting, or are you just
So
I will just be out with him for adult safety and everything.
gotcha?
okay. So since he's 13, he's exempt from the general hunting license. He won't need that till he turns 16. I'm assuming he's an Oklahoma resident. So he doesn't need his actual hunting license till he's 16. He will, however, need his deer archery license for each deer he harvests. And when you go to buy that online, I get lots of questions on this. So it's going to ask for his hunter safety number. And if he has it, just put it in there. If he doesn't have it, you have to hit the accompanied apprentice license. So he will be deemed as an apprentice, and to be able to hunt, he has to be with somebody that can take immediate control of that gun or firearm, that's at least 18 years of age and has their hunter safety or is exempt. So once you hit 31, you do not have to have your hunter safety anymore. If you're younger than 31, then you'll need to get your hunter safety or go with somebody who is certified.
Go on.
Can you use a deer rifle, like a high caliber rifle, on public land?
Are you talking archery season? No.
Okay.
There's certain you're just talking about like a deer rifle, like a 308 or something like that. So there are public lands that are open to firearm season. Usually they have more restricted requirements. I know most of them are only open the first 9 days of season, and you just have to, whatever area you're looking at, you got to make sure you're in law with that. So in our regulations, they actually have the areas broke down by each specific area, and they might say, same as statewide as the deer rifle season, and then it's just like normal season. But if it says only open the first 9 days or can't shoot does until the last day or something like that, there's some specific ones. It can get kind of confusing. So I would recommend, if you have one you're wanting to look at that's close to you or whatever, call the local warden in there. And if you have questions on it, you can get with them and make sure you're up on the up and up. And then there's also some biologists there that you can get a hold of that manage those areas.
So that area he's talking about in the regulations called the special area regulations. They're in the back of our regulations book, and there's specific regulations for each public hunting land that we manage. So definitely, if you're planning a trip or want to look at each one of those WMAs, check out those special area regulations, and the local game warden phone number and a biologist number is listed right in there with the information. Casey kind of brought up something that I meant to bring up earlier, as far as another resource for each one of you. On our website, wildlifedepartment.com, we have a hunting resource page, and there are a lot of things on there that you can get more information, that you can get some clarification on, some interaction on opportunities to hunt in Oklahoma, and different things to definitely check out. It's really a neat resource, and I highly recommend that each one of you go give it a check out.
And also, I want to plug our new interface called the Tailgate.
Cool.
Yeah, it's basically, if you guys harvest any deer or any sort of game, you guys can take your pictures and upload them to our website and be featured on the front of our website. It'll just cycle through all the photos, and so we love to see all of our public land hunters, our private land hunters posting their pictures with their game that they've harvested. And you might just be featured one day. So it's a good way for us, the Wildlife Department, to get real, true photos of our hunting, our hunters in action. So we love seeing that. Make sure you go upload your archery photos once you get your deer on the ground.
Don't you have to have like some sort of license or something to take like a deer that you've harvested in Oklahoma back to Texas?
No, you just have to have those confirmation numbers. So leaving the state, it depends on if you have if Texas has a specific regulation. I'm not sure on that. So in Oklahoma, if you shoot a deer in Texas, you cannot bring the any sort of brain matter or spinal material in, so you have to debone that animal. But I don't know if Texas has specific regulations on that. But just your confirmation number that shows that you legally harvested it in Oklahoma should be sufficient, unless they have additional regulations. Andrea, did I get your question answered on the hunter requirements?
I believe so.
Okay, so you don't have to have a license. You just have to have your hunter safety or be over 31 to take him hunting.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, no problem.
Well, if we don't have any more questions, I'm going to wrap this up, and I'm going to talk a few, like I've already mentioned, our next class will be our deer processing Q&A, kind of get you ready if you want to take and break down your deer after you harvest it. And then we will have a muzzleloader class coming up as well. So just check back on our website, register the same. And like I said, actually, you two boys right there, I don't have the muzzleloader class up yet because I hadn't secured my speaker until just yesterday. So go back probably by next Monday and enroll for that one too. That'll be a good class for you as well. Okay. And then we're going to have some rifle hunting. We're going to go over quail, pheasant, like upland game, and then some waterfowl hunting classes too. So we got a full roster of classes for you this hunting season. So I just want to thank our speakers again for hopping on here and educating us, and just have fun out there in the field. Even if they don't call it killing, they call it hunting. So don't get discouraged if you're out there a couple times before you even see something. You'll always enjoy and not regret being outside in nature before being inside. So enjoy it, guys, and we love to hear any stories, and send me pictures or post them to Tailgate.
Thank you all.
Yep, thanks, guys. If you have any issues or questions, just call me beforehand.
Yep.
All right, thank you very much.
Absolutely.